This conference will now be recorded.
Well, thank you all for joining me for one more session of our virtual networking. Today we have a real special treat, which is we have my buddy Chris Evans from PMI. That's going to be our guest speaker after we do our round of introductions. And Chris and I originally met many years ago because we're both here in the Pittsburgh area. At the MIT Enterprise Forum when that organization used to exist in downtown Pittsburgh, and we would do some really fantastic activities, some really great speakers on fantastic topics, and then it transitioned to being the Pittsburgh Entrepreneurs organization. But anyway, so he's going to be our guest speaker in a second, but as we always do, I've got everybody muted, and we're going to do a round of introductions one at a time. Just take a minute or two to introduce yourself to the rest of the group, and that should take us 10-20 minutes. And then after that, I'll do an introduction again of our guest speaker. I'll leave him for last, and he can have the balance of the time. Like always, my goal is to get everybody out of here maybe somewhere between 45-50 minutes after the hour, 2 p.m. here on the East Coast of the U.S., because I know still a lot of people have back-to-back Zoom calls, so I want to give you at least 5 or 10 minutes to take a break, get a glass of water, do whatever you need to do, and get ready for your next video chat. So here we go. We're going to go in the order that I see people here on my list. So Gaby, you get to go first. If you would like to please take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Sal. Well, everybody, it's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is Gaby Fonseca, and I'm a sales executive for Marriott International. I'm primarily in Northern California and handle most of the hotels in San Francisco. My job is to make it easier for organizations and companies and individual people that are traveling into the market. I can also help with anybody who's doing any social event or business meeting anywhere in the world. That means if there is a potential opportunity that you have and you're looking for a hotel in Madagascar, or just call any name. Let's say you're planning something in Ireland, for example, and you need a hotel. You give me a location, you give me the amount of people, and my job is to basically identify and source all of the hotels that are available in that destination and make sure that we get nice bids with rates and make sure that you get something booked within Marriott International. Like I said, primarily San Francisco. Of course, I will try to push for San Francisco. That will be my first goal. But ultimately, if San Francisco is not your desired destination, then we'll get you into your desired destination and get you a Marriott property. That includes more than 30 brands right now. We actually just acquired a group of resorts in the Caribbean. So you're trying to do an incentive trip for a business opportunity, then we can get you into some resorts, amazing, beautiful resorts. I don't know them all right now. I'm still getting the list. But that will be a good opportunity for the future. And we're looking forward to partner with everybody. And that's it. That's it for me. Thank you.
And of course, part of getting to know those results in the Caribbean is you got to do a fam trip, and go out there.
That's exactly what I have to do. I'm waiting for that. Yes, okay, to go for me to go down to the Caribbean and enjoy those hotels.
All right, very good, excellent. And if you need somebody to do an interview with you down there, you take me. I'll interview you down there.
I'm excited for it. Yes, thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Let's see. Next on my list, Jeremy, if you could please unmute yourself from your side and take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Sal, for hosting. I love these meetings. Wish I could attend more often. My name is Jeremy. I am local to the Pittsburgh area. My wife and I own a travel agency, Travel Come True. We are a franchise of Dream Vacations. Gaby just sent you a message. I think maybe we could do some work together. But yeah, we are a full service, 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year travel agency. We offer personalized service. We plan individual travel. We plan group travel, resorts, cruises, hotel stays. A woman that I went to high school with, her daughter is playing in a softball tournament in Ohio in 2 weeks, and she needs a hotel. Nothing too big, nothing too small. So really our ideal referral at this point, mostly international travel is what we're booking. That actually tends to be a little easier than domestic at this point, believe it or not. But we book a lot of international weddings, honeymoons, multi-generational trips, and cruising is coming back. So we're definitely digging our teeth back into that. So if anybody has any travel needs, feel free to reach out. Thanks again, Sal.
All right, perfect. Excellent. We got two people in the travel industry in this meeting. I love it. Let's see. John, if you could please unmute yourself from your side and take a minute or two to introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is John Lilienthal. I own a company called Statement Marketing. I work with small businesses that want to grow, and I help them find more money at the top, on the top line as well as the bottom line, either by bringing in more revenue or figuring out how to save more money, yet not cut employees or whatever. But also, in some cases, it's just letting the business owner be more efficient by bringing in ideas. I've got seven strategies that have multiple tactics underneath it. We can take all of those through an interview and figure out which ones work, which ones will go first, which ones will produce the most, and do that. My ideal referral is a small business in any industry that wants to improve themselves, make more money, solve problems. For example, with HVAC companies right now, the problem is not necessarily getting more clients, it's finding people that can service those clients and why they can't, and those kinds of things. So we just solve problems. If you refer someone to me, I can sit down with them for about an hour, go through a software package that looks at everything and give them a number and say, if we do this, this is the likely result, and see if they want to go with that, see if that's something that would help them. My guarantee is if we can't increase the revenue by more than I'm charging, it's free. So there's very little risk there, and it's just a matter of figuring out what's best for them. I think that's it.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Let's see as we move down the list here. Patrick, same thing. If you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. Great to be here. And I've always detected with people in the travel industry, they never know where their laundry is. I don't know how true that is, but it's a real issue for them. And I sympathize with them, of course. But look, great to be here, as I say. And thank you, Sal, for hosting. You're a wonderful host. And just to tell you what I'm doing, the modern medicine is at a crossroads. And why am I saying that? Because every second of every day, our cells are passing tremendous amounts of information throughout the body, and any breakdown in that signaling and communication, we cannot be fully healthy. For example, we're conscious when we're tired, hungry, cold, hot, what else? When we're in pain, or when we get up in the middle of the night to go to the loo, we get a signal. These are all signals, but there's signaling going on that we're not even aware of. I was on my bike today, cycling around. I wasn't even conscious that my heart was beating. So, and your lungs are working, and your kidneys and your liver and all this. So to correct this natural and in some cases unforeseen decline due to the impact of lifestyle, stressors and age, we now have available the health breakthrough of redox signaling molecules. This is the only technology in the world that amplifies and clarifies our critical cell signals, and the difference it is making in most people's lives is absolutely astonishing. For many people, this is now the missing link for better health and vitality, independently validated as 100% non-toxic, enabling us to have a real advantage. So the bigger the breakthrough, the bigger the opportunity. High impact technology that gets results, nobody else has it, and virtually nobody knows about it. If our cells are not signaling, nothing else matters. The world deserves to know about this highly patented supplement for use internally and as a gel on our skin. I'm looking for three types of people: people who have a health challenge, people who are health conscious, or people who are looking for an additional stream of income. Particularly those who this fits in. What I do fits into the busiest of schedules. So my thanks to you all for enabling me to understand what you are doing, the gift of your attention, and the possibility of us exploring how we could collaborate. Thank you, Sam.
Perfect, thank you. And if you haven't figured it out from the accent or the loo, Patrick is down in Ireland. For the sailors, that's the head, and for the rest of us, that's the bathroom. Although I think we have a well-traveled group here today. So, all right, here we go. And last but not least, from New York City. Yeah, this is the magic of the internet. We got people from all over the world, not just the Pittsburgh area. Yonah, same thing. If you could take a minute or two to introduce yourself, please. You're muted from your side, or frozen maybe. Huh? We'll give it one more minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Wow, today is one of those days. Sal, I'm going to remind you to introduce yourself next. It's an inside joke between me and Sal. So hello, everyone. I am a financial advisor from New York City. And what I like to focus on is one of the most important things, and it's really personal to me, and that's insurance, and that's income protection. I got into this business in 2018, and one of the things they tell you when you start your training is you can't offer that which you don't have yourself. And so I applied for myself, and I was declined. And I will forever be declined for things such as life insurance and disability insurance. And so for me, it's really about building personal connections with people and educating and empowering people to make smart decisions. In my 3+ years, what I've noticed so far is I don't think people are making stupid decisions. I think people are making decisions without being educated. Most people who are educated will make smart decisions, and I think that is awesome. And the types of people I'm looking to connect with are anyone who is willing to share me their time. You know, money comes and goes, time does not. So if you're kind enough to share your time with me, that is all I will appreciate. It's either you can benefit directly from me, I can benefit directly from you, or we know people who can help each other. I'm in the business of adding value and helping people. And plus, the reason why I come to these meetings as much as I can is because I get to meet wonderful people like Sal. I will put my information in the chat box. Anyone who would love to have a conversation with me, I would love to have a conversation with you. And Patrick, I would appreciate some Irish whiskey right about now.
Fantastic. Well, listen, and let me tell you guys, this is the benefit of having people that have come to a bunch of these before, is they know the system better than I do. So one thing I forgot to say is please put your contact information in the chat. One thing I will do later tonight is I will send a YouTube video of our meeting. I will send everything that's in the chat to everybody. So put in there whatever you want to share, whether it's your LinkedIn profile, email, phone, website, whatever. Conversely, don't put anything in there you don't want to share, because I will send it out to everybody. All right, just a little bit about me before I turn it over to Chris, our guest speaker. So as you all know, my name is Sal Acosta, and I am a business broker. And it's exactly like it sounds. I help people buy and sell businesses. Now, since they come in all shapes and sizes, and transactions come in all shapes and sizes, I usually deal with what's called Main Street businesses or lower middle market. So that's a business that on the low side may have as few as 10 employees. On the high side may have all the way up to 250. From a revenue perspective, anywhere between zero all the way up to a maximum of 10 or $20 million in revenue. And I know things are still crazy with the coronavirus, and now everybody's getting worried about the Delta variant and all that. But hopefully at least break even to about $1 million or $2 million in net positive cash flow for the year. The only other thing I'll say is that now with the magic of the internet, I'm able to work with and help people all across the country. So as long as you're willing to work with me over video chat and email and phone, I can help them through the process. And that's pretty much it. Now I'd like to do a quick introduction of our guest speaker. And I've got my little cheat sheet over here, so just give me just a second. First of all, and like I said, I met Chris many, many, many years ago. We were both part of the MIT Enterprise Forum, which was a fantastic organization here in the Pittsburgh area. They put panels on relevant events, technology, business, and it was really a lot of fun. Now, right now, he is Director of Business Development and Creative Production at PMI Digital. And PMI Digital produces videos and commercials. They do 2D and 3D animations for digital content. They also do virtual live hybrid video productions. And their creative team has led video, 3D, and virtual reality initiatives for global brands. And this is very, very impressive for companies like Audi, Canada Dry, Ford, Fortnite, Rolex, Taco Bell, Toyota, and Volvo. Not to mention that they have worked with a lot of really nice companies here in the local Pittsburgh area, like PPG, and PNC. So, having gotten all that out of the way, Chris, you've got the balance of the time.
Thanks, everybody. Sal, I appreciate it. It's nice to be invited to present to your forum today and to meet all of you. And, I can't say enough about people like Sal who are innovating on the fly in the face of this pandemic and hosting these types of events that get people together. It's, where would we be without it for those of us who are in charge of writing business for our respective organizations? And that's pretty much everyone on this call, and on most of these types of forums. So hats off to you, Sal, for making use of the technologies that are available to us. And, it's actually kind of a good place to begin, talking about what we've come through and, dare I say, might be going back into. I cannot believe we're saying that, but, it is what it is. The last 15 months have been a hell of a ride for all of us. But tell you a little bit about my story, kind of how I got into this chair and why I'm here, what I do and how I do it. And hopefully there's some ways we can help one another out along the way. Sal did a great job of introducing me. About 25 years, I've been building brands and building sales operations for companies in the technology space and the media spaces, respectively. Without boring you guys with too much of a history lesson on it, I got my start in tech in the 90s when it was hotter than the bottom of a frying pan, and was really fortunate to be a part of a startup company that I joined with my then boss and 3 other people. We built a company, a CRM services company called Blue Hammock, which we later exited. It was a pretty nice exit. Made our investors a few dollars. We made them their money back at least. So I still got invited to all the angel forums and could hold my head up pretty high around this town. But I got a bit of the bug of kind of understanding what marketing means to organizations, and became quite very much self-taught in addition to my business development chops. Learning about strategic marketing and understanding what brand means to a company, especially to small businesses that oftentimes have trouble harnessing a coherent brand strategy. And I made it my life's work to, stay very close to the marketer as a client. The CMO has almost always been, in that quarter century I've been in business, my buyer. Even when in software, I tended to gravitate to front office technologies like CRM, Salesforce automation, and web related things that drove business. It's because what I know, right? I used to joke, all I've got is that and this smile, and it's gotten me by all these years. But about 10 years ago, I was head of marketing for a very large publicly traded company here in Pittsburgh, and doing quite well. We had launched a spin out of the main company and consolidated some underperforming brands across the country. And A friend of mine called me and said, he had another company, some friends that were in the media space and were looking to try to get to a liquidity event. They wanted to find a buyer for a video production company. And at first, it didn't make any sense why he'd be talking to me. I mean, yeah, I've been a part of some exits, but I'm not really a turnaround artist. He said, look, you understand brand. They are marketers that understand video. You need to help them tell their story and what they have to do over the next 12 to 16 months to find a buyer. And you know how to do that. So he talked me into taking the position, and I was glad he did. So I went in and I helped flip a company that was a media production company. Why I tell you all that is because I fell in love with video. I fell in love with production. We were doing a lot with sports marketing and marketing to universities, videos of that sort, which is an interesting space to be in. A little bit limited. There's a handful of companies around the country that specialize in that niche, and I don't know much about higher ed. So that wasn't really my all-time calling, but I'm happy to say eventually we found a buyer for that company also. And it was an out-of-town company out of Boston that bought them. And, so now I had a couple of these under my belt, and I went back into tech. That's when I met Sal. But a couple of years ago, I felt my career was getting too immersed into tech. And I was getting farther and farther away from the human side of marketing. And if you know anything about marketing, it's an emotional decision. People still buy on emotion. That last car you leased, you made an emotional decision about it, whether it was for the value or for luxury or sport or utility, right? It was an emotional decision, hopefully a rational one, but there was emotion behind it. Same way when you bought your house or you asked that person out to dinner the very first time. Those are emotional decisions that trigger us. And as much as technology shapes even marketing and sales today, data, right? Data drives everything. Who's my buyer? What are they buying? Where are they going? Facebook's following me around. They know when I visit Lowe's.com, right? But the reality is, at the end of the day, there's still a human element about marketing. There always will be. And video has always been such an integral part of people making decisions about what they're going to buy or where they're going to go to school or where they're going to invest their money. And when you start thinking about video at a strategic level, it's done on many different formats, right? From a broadcast commercial that you see, a spot, as we call it in the business, to that 5-second sidebar that you notice on the web that catches your eye. It's still video, it's visuals, it's audio, it's music, it's voiceover, the deeper you go. And I loved it. And I told my wife, I threatened that I was going to start my own agency, my own creative shop. And she said, you'd be better off, going with some of your friends that are in the business that have a shop that could harness what you bring to the table, which is acceleration. You're not Don Draper, she told me. You're not just going to start your own marketing shop and suddenly you're going to get all these clients just because you know a lot of people. And as usual, if you listen to your wife in life, you're probably better off. And I had known PMI for many, many years. In essence, kind of competed against them in that past life. Used to send them referrals when I could, and often tried to find ways to partner with them because they're the best in town. Talk a little bit about PMI now, and then we're going to talk about where all of this is going in the face of today's challenges. Why does it matter to you? Because who cares about my story and why I'm doing this? It's ultimately, how can what I do help you or your friends? PMI is a very interesting company because it's an old company in a very new space. Now, video has been around a long time, but the way that video is being used today is, God, it has evolved so much, even in the past 19 months, let alone the past 10 years. But PMI was one of the very first companies in Pittsburgh to produce commercial video, as it sounds, broadcast spots. Our founder, David Case, spent a lifetime in the television business and wanted his own company and planted a flag in Pittsburgh. Not originally from here, he's originally from Kentucky, but knew that the market opportunities in the mid 80s here were kind of exciting for video. A lot of the companies were going out of town to find creative branding and creative marketing and video production. And he said, I think we can build it right here. I think we can plant a flag and build a company that has a long runway of serving Pittsburgh businesses and beyond if we play our cards right. And over the course of 30 years, 35 years, PMI has grown to serve some of the brands Sal mentioned, names Rolex and Audi and hot companies like Fortnite, as well as the big majors like Dollar Bank, and through some of our agency partners, PNC and other entities all over the country. And the way that we do that is by the production of video. Whether, again, that be a spot that you see on television or a short social media blurb that just is designed to capture your attention and get you to spend a little bit more time with a brand story, all the way to long form documentaries that tell the story of a business from its inception to today. We're actually working on one of those right now for Ainsworth, the parent company of Ainsworth Pet Nutrition of Dad's Dog Food. Tells a story of a family business that's grown and evolved and done things over 50 years. It's fascinating. So video has lots of different ways of being utilized depending on what you're trying to do with it. But why it's so important for any company to pay attention to it, it erases some of those lines. Look, we're on video now, right? We're on a form of video. And it enables us to have an almost human connection with people that might be sitting, like the gentleman who was on earlier in New York, right? Yonah, or India or Japan or anywhere. But beyond a live stream like this, think about the last time you saw a video that meant something to you. Maybe there's an iconic commercial you remember as a kid. I know I have a ton of them, whether it was Carol Bouquet climbing out of the swimming pool in the Chanel ad in the 80s, or the very first time I saw a Cadillac ad where they're racing up the hill trying to catch the Mercedes. Those things are, if you're of a certain age and generation, you remember those iconic brand images that you've seen. Or the song, a jingle of maybe a favorite product. It's advertising, right? It is Mad Men, it is Don Draper. But what it also is a very powerful way for product stories to get out into an audience. Sal mentioned that we together have been a part of the MIT Enterprise Forum. It's since evolved. It's now called the Entrepreneurs Forum Pittsburgh, and there are other affiliate chapters around the country. But entrepreneurial companies are some of my best clients when they have a few dollars to spend on these kinds of things, because it isn't cheap. And when it is done cheaply, you can tell, and it can actually weaken a brand story. But when video is done well, when it's done thoughtfully with a great script that tells the story of a product, you match that with visuals, it shows an authenticity about a product or a service or a place or a destination. Those of you guys in travel know exactly what I'm talking about. While at Marriott's not a client, Fairmont Hotels is. And I can tell you, when you see the inside of that room, or you experience what it's the jingling of the ice tinkling in that cocktail glass, it's designed to get you excited about the experience that you'll have when you check in. And travel, wow, again, think about emotions. There's nothing better than leaving for vacation, getting on that airplane and feeling that warm air hit you as soon as you get off the airplane and putting on your Hawaiian shirt, right? We all love it. Or maybe you're a winter person and you can't wait to ski the Rockies, right? Oh, Lord, I tell you, every time I see a commercial, or I should say really not a commercial, but a web video for Vail Resorts, I call them and try to get in there. And I'm going to get in there because I'm a skier at heart. And again, especially with things that involve sports and things like that, video is so critical. And PMI's story is interesting because not only we've been around a long while, but we've modernized quite a bit. What I mean by that is we went from traditional big cameras and big sets and longer form, 30-second spots on broadcast, to being able to do today's communication to today's audiences, whether that be through 2D or 3D animation or sophisticated breakaways of a product, that shows the inside of a heart valve, how it works, easing a patient's fear of what this is going to be like when they go in for a procedure, or a 3D cutaway of a building that shows you how the cleanliness of an air duct matters to the health of the occupants of the building. You name it, we've filmed it. And or we've created it. Animation is one of the hottest trends in video production today. And again, if done properly, can be a very sophisticated, powerful, and important way of communicating to an audience about a product or service. Can also add a little bit of whimsy if desired. Or it can be very buttoned up and very technical. All depends on what we're trying to do with a video and for whom we're trying to do it for. I think when I look at the pandemic's impact on business, you had two choices. If you were permitted to stay open and you were permitted to serve, and permitted as perhaps an understatement, obviously for health reasons, there are a lot of reasons why businesses had to shut down and why most of us are talking from our bedrooms, living rooms, or dens or basements right now. Even those of us whose studios are back open, some of us want to stay home because we've proved we can do this, right? We've proved we can be productive and profitable and not spend 2 hours in a car, right? But I digress. When this hit, we realized at PMI we had a real critical moment as a management team of how do we go after the right types of clients? How do we serve those who are still able to serve and tell the important messages of how supply chains are still getting what they need? And how can we reassure the customers the lights will be there when they're in a hospital? Or how can we show wonderful groups like 412 Food Rescue, that's a local group here that feeds the hungry and has chapters all over the country under different brand names through their Food Rescue Hero application. How can we show those folks that, yes, that meal is going to arrive? Video. Explainer videos, as they're often called, which are designed, again, to educate on a particular topic, how to do something, how to use something, or how something's being delivered. And finding companies that could still invest in telling stories. And that's what we did. We buckled down and we started talking to a lot of the tech companies around the country that, quite candidly, were a little bit less impacted by the pandemic because they had their developers working from home or from other parts of the country. And we're still cranking out software as a service. And a lot of those have become our clients. And for the big organizations like the banks and restaurants that were converting to be able to serve you takeout, it was all about visuals that explained those kinds of things and let you know that the lights were still on and they're still serving. Now, fast forward to 2021, and as we are all trying to figure out what this next chapter of this variant may look like, the reality is a lot of us, thank God, are vaccinated and are healthy and are able to work. And brands have to tell a story. You have to stay in front of your audience and communicate what you're doing, what the impact of your business is. So it's not always about buying a product or service. Sometimes it's as simple as making a human connection with an audience to say, this is the right university for me to attend. I look like those kids. This is the right place for me to vacation because my God, is it beautiful there. Or I can afford it. Or it's available and they're open, it looks safe, I'm ready to roll. And the other thing that I think that is so interesting about the work that we do is the client is the star. In our business, we call it being in show blacks. That's when the film crew is actually dressed in all black and you barely see them on set as they walk around and are doing what we do, making that magic of telling your story or our client's story for them through the visuals. And, gone are the days of overly scripted, totally polished, almost sales-oriented messages. Today, it's all about the authenticity. It's all about showcasing how you can connect with an audience with humor or with candor. I'll tell you another example. You take a look at some of the things that are happening around the region, like the technology companies, the robotics companies. We're doing a lot with those kind of organizations, A, because they're funded, and B, nothing tells a story better about a technology piece like a robot or a drone than being able to see this thing in action, see how that robot or that drone is doing its job. I mentioned also 412 Food Rescue, even being able to put together collateral in addition to a video. This is a piece that our company did that accompanies other videos that tell the impact on the region and how they're serving. It has to do with a cohesive brand message that is out there that is, delivered to the public in a way that's impactful and that resonates with the audience. The way that we work, it depends on the client. If it's a small business, maybe their first at bat at a video, their budget might be smaller. We're still able to help them think through a script about what they need to say and for what reason they're saying it. Will this appear on YouTube? Will they make a YouTube channel about it? Will it be the first of many videos, hopefully for them and for us, that tell a story about their products or services? Is it something that's going to live on the web? Then working with their marketing department or individual who's responsible for marketing to come up with a campaign that makes sense. Now, in some cases, our clients are large creative firms that manage global brands all across, a given region or across the country. And we're happy to take our cues from those branding agencies to be able to help their message, their vision for their client's brand come through on video. Even if they have their own video production crew, it's not uncommon for them to call me and say, "Hey, Christopher, are you able to, pull together a crew to film in Walnut Creek, California, or Michigan?" Sure. We serve, all over the country, faraway places too. We've even shot in Europe. Boy, I'm waiting for that trip. I want to go on that one. Sadly, we don't really ship guys like me around, right? We pick up a local crew and manage it all from here. But I mentioned earlier why I think PMI is kind of unusual. Sure, there's lots of companies that produce videos, but there are very few that are end-to-end a conglomerate like we are. What I mean by that is there are three facets to our business. There's a syndication group that's a partner of NBC Universal. So sometimes if you see programming that is syndicated, that's coming through our facility downtown. And God bless our colleagues who worked through that pandemic in a very safe, clean environment down there, but in limited numbers to keep the lights on and keep Maury Povich coming into your living room. True story. So that's one piece of our business. The other piece being the piece I comprise along with my creative team of video production and animation. And our third group is our films division that actually has 2 films that are being produced as we speak. Certainly have been on a hiatus with that group due to the closures, but are picking back up. So it's a real media company. The other thing about it is we have everything, not to make it a pitch about us, but all the things that you do have to think about no matter who's doing your video, like audio, who's doing the voiceover. We have a recording studio downtown for that, and an engineer who's been doing it for 25 years, Sean Jackson. He leads our teams and helps the clients thoughtfully pick through what kind of music fits the storytelling and whose voice from a talent agency or maybe even employee of a company of the brand makes sense to tell that story or to correspond to the visuals that you see on the screen. That's really the fun part of the project. Then you've got your graphics, your motion design and animation, which again are sometimes stand alone, the production, and other times are in a supporting role to accompany live action videos, whether that be a drone that is filming a building, or a camera talking to and interviewing people, or just capture of external shots mixed, you name it, we do it. And I'll give you a little perspective of where I think this is heading irrespective of the pandemic. There are a lot of stats I could throw at you that would probably bore you that support what I'm about to say, but purchasing decisions are heavily influenced by video. And companies of any sort need to be looking at a video or a series of videos to help tell their story now more than ever. Because today's shopper, today's buyer, today's person who needs educated is typically consuming content on their devices, right? Whether it be the laptop I'm on today from a spare bedroom in Fox Chapel, to an iPad like the one I'm holding right here. Many times I do everything from checking my daughter's daycare schedule to ordering HelloFresh from a device like this, or of course, your mobile handheld. Well, a lot of people are on those devices and they're making decisions as well about your brand. Who's the next stock decision? I'm watching my ticker go across, right? How am I getting news, right? How am I seeing what's happening at a piece of property? All of that kind of stuff is delivered in new ways today, but most of them are video. You ever notice when you go onto your favorite news site, whether it be CNN, Fox News, or whatever it might be, every single story has a video behind it now, right? So it just tells you that and this isn't new, but it's omnipresent. I'll tell you another thing. Those of you who happen to work with the early stage companies or the investment community, sure.
I hate to interrupt.
We're up against it.
45 minutes after the hour, and I want to give people the opportunity to ask some questions.
Sure. Thanks for the reminder.
Part of this. So I'm going to open it up for 2 sections. One is questions for Chris in particular, and then hopefully we still have another 5 minutes or so, questions from anybody to anybody. But first, any questions for Chris?
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, that was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I
Thank
have
you.
had, in another life, I was involved in television news editing and stuff. So you have you have given me a learning outcome about how things are done in a modern way. But what's going to happen after this call now is that Gabby is going to phone you, and he'll want you to stay in every one of his Marriott hotels, and you're going to come back exhausted, right? And I don't. Then you're going to have to phone Sal to ask him his advice on how to get out of this.
Hey, I'm ready for that, Patrick. And let me tell you, Sal mentioned Irish whiskey. Personally, I'm a bourbon, rye, and Scotch guy, but I wouldn't mind coming to see you, and learning from you
That'd be
all about
great.
Ireland. I'm of some Welsh ancestry. Yeah, and Gabby, let me tell you, many a trip has been in a Marriott for the Evans family for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I could see a lot of nods when I was telling you guys what I'm telling you. I know it's not groundbreaking, but it's an imperative for marketers to understand how to tell stories through video and to tell them well. A couple of years ago, Patrick, there was a bit of a trend away from production companies like PMI towards more of these handheld sort of cinema verite, capture quickly, make it rough, yeah, everything has a season, right? So did haircuts down to here in the 70s. You don't see those today too often either, at least not on guys of our ages. But you know, today it's not about overproduction. It is about a well thought out script that matches visuals that are relevant and engaging. Because the bad news about all of this and everything else we just talked about is the fight for attention. Once upon a time, those of us remember when there were 3 TV stations too, right? You watched Kojak because it was either that or Match Game, right? And I'm going back a ways. But like, actually, I probably messed that up. I think one was NBC and one was ABC, but I forget. But now there's, thousands of different things. There are nights when you don't even turn the TV on, right? You might be consuming content on a podcast or on an app. You never even go to the TV in the living room. And if you do, you're watching something that's on a system that's not even cable, where there's lots of talk about cord cutting and things like that. So the point is, video has to evolve to go where the viewer goes and to present things both on a screen resolution perspective as well as a digestibility perspective that still does its job, which is to get you excited about whatever the hell it is that we're getting paid to talk about. And I think that there's a real opportunity there to create engaging content, whether that be edgy or whether that just be relevant. There's lots of ways for that to happen today. I'm working with a company that has come out of Carnegie Mellon that's a product company. And they had never done much advertising, and yet they are a consumer product goods company with products on Amazon. And one of the things we said to them was, well, how the hell is anybody going to know what you're doing or what you're talking about if you don't have video? So we came up with a concept with their creative team and ours about an animated character that is not comical. It's a serious character that emulates the features and benefits of what their products do. And you put those into 40-second spots that go onto Amazon, and suddenly you've got a lot of eyeballs and you've got people buying the product. So thanks for that kind feedback. And yeah, Gabby, don't worry. If you want to fire your agency and hire me, I can film anywhere.
And by the way, let me tell you guys this, and we always talk about how it's, and I'll speak from my perspective, right? It's the younger generations that are more used to consuming video as opposed to reading something because they grew up with it and whatever. But I will tell you, one thing I've noticed is when I need to find out something or where I need to research something, whether it's for work or personal or whatever, I am going a lot more to YouTube and to try to find a video there to give me the answer to what I want than to something where I'm going to get some text. And to be honest with you, depending on what it is, whether it's how to fix something, how to clean something, how to do something, because it's video, at least for me, it's a lot easier to understand it and see it than to read all these complicated descriptions referencing all these parts that have these weird names that are so complicated.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we've got just a couple more minutes, so I want to open it up. Does anybody have any questions for anybody based on the original introductions before we disband for today? And I also want to give people, like I said, a couple minutes to get ready for their next meeting. Yeah, okay, then the only other thing that I'll say is we do these meetings for the folks that are new every other week. So we'll do the next one exactly 2 weeks from today at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, exactly 2 weeks from today. Personally, one of the things that always has me very excited is a lot of times we bring in guest speakers like Chris, and I always think about like, oh my God, if I wanted to pick Chris's brain, right? How hard would it be for me to get into his office? How hard would it be for me to set up a video chat to pick his brain? Sometimes we have people here that charge hundreds of dollars, for a consultation, but they're willing to come here and share their insights and their information for free. So that's always invaluable to me. I get a big kick out of that. And we make relationships that I encourage everybody to then go and set up your own, one-on-one meetings after this and continue the conversation. All right, guys, listen.
Just a comment there at the end, Sal. So most companies need a guy like Christopher Evans. You see, so but he has the capacity to say, no, you can't afford me, or I'm not saying you do, but you can't afford me. And well, look, can we do a deal? And how does that work, Chris? I
Sure,
mean,
that's a great question, Patrick. One of the things that and I'll make this as tight as I can. When I first came into PMI, knowing that it was a very established company and an established brand, but it was also a brand that they weren't in all the right rooms. Candidly, creative companies like this are often the worst custodians of sales and marketing. They get walked into deals. They have long-term clients. You've heard about it. Many of your friends in agencies may have had the same clients for 20 years. We were no exception. And I kept reminding them that there are channels and ways and events like this that you don't see every other video guy spending time in. But for me, they're highly effective. And that's not a pat on the back. I'm just resourceful and I speak the language and I'm here to help. Like if John calls me and says, hey, I've got a small company because they only have $5,000. Is there anything we can do? We'll find a way. We'll find a way to help. There's lots of things you can do for budgets of any size. If you know what the budget is, God, that's the hardest part is getting people to tell you what they really want to spend on this stuff. And I mean, big or small, but I digress. The way that I look at this is if you're talking to a friend, if your own organization, your own business might need something for your website and you want to talk about it, I'm happy to share with you. We have rate sheets. Again, I work with everybody. I had 412 Food Rescue. Now they are a charitable concern, but the first time they saw me, they said, how the hell we ever afford you, man? You're doing Rolex and Audi. That's okay. Rolex and Audi are one type of account. I also do Duquesne Light, PNC, again, local companies. There's companies that I've never even met, but they've heard about me personally on Twitter, and they'll call and say, hey, I'm a cybersecurity company in DC, and a couple of geeks said you're a cool dude to know, and we hate marketing people, so can you help us? That was literally the intro. This 25-year-old kid called me and said, what? I don't even understand what you just said, but yeah, well, let's talk about it. And next thing you know, we're cutting a great promo for them. And I guess the only thing I'll leave you with, Patrick, is the reason you can trust that I love this place and that I take care of my clients. I love video. As a marketer, there were so many places I was where no one would invest in the brand. And I always said, if I ever had the keys to my own brand of worth, and I have, the first thing I would do was invest in video and a great website. And so I'm a practitioner, but I'm also a buyer. I'm someone I drank the Kool-Aid long before I came here and wore the hat. And it's just a great place to be. It's a great place to help accelerate business. And man, I'll tell you, I won't bore you with it today, but you could ask me any type of industry, chances are we've done it. Honest to God. And I think everything except funeral homes. And they use video too. God bless them. Very important service, of course. But any business can benefit from video storytelling, and product companies especially. But I invite all of you to take a look at our stuff. It's up there on the website, www.pmidigital.com. Sal can hook you up with my info if you ever have anything. And again, don't think of it limited just to video. If it, I have friends in different pockets of business that we draw upon. This was done by someone who used to be a creative director in an agency for 18 years, and she joined our team. And I also have a full-time creative director out of Los Angeles that used to have his own agency. So we have some really amazing people under roof here. And sometimes you don't even need all that. You need a $7,000 animation that's really sophisticated that shows your building. So there's lots of things we can do.
Thank you.
All
Sorry,
right, guys.
Sorry,
I wanted to give everybody a couple minutes. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Chris, for being our guest speaker today. Wonderful and lovely. Don't forget that I will send out a recording on YouTube later. I'll send out all the stuff in the chat. I'll send the links to Chris's company. So you guys will have everything later tonight. And that's it. Hope I can see all of you in 2 weeks again.
All right.
Thank you,
Sal.
guys.
Thanks. And I look forward to attending as a guest in the future as well. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Great to see you all. Thank you.